USA Today for Friday, January 9th, 2025. Your reader for this hour is me, Chet Walczyk. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. We'll kick it off with the USA Today's opening section and their feature story for the weekend. Gen Z is drying out, and it's not a blip. Young people's sobriety goes beyond just January. The new year brings countless resolutions. For some, it starts with Dry January, a month-long challenge void of any alcohol consumption. A new generation of young people, however, may not need the challenge at all. They are already not drinking. Many young adults are stepping away from alcohol entirely, choosing sobriety as a lifestyle rather than a 30-day endeavor. Sierra Boone, 25, has been sober for almost 3 years. Her abstinence weaves into a larger trend. Gen Zers, those born in the years 1997 to 2012, are not drinking, and they haven't been. From 2001 to 2023, global research firm Gallup reported a 11% dip in adults aged 18 to 34 who had at least one alcoholic beverage within the past week. I don't think it's a blip at this point. If anything, I think this trend is going to continue to strengthen. Dr. Jared Harp, addiction psychiatrist at the Cleveland Clinic, told USA Today. Boone, who drank for the first time when she was in her teens, told USA Today that for years, alcohol was a form of escapism. Her family had struggled with addiction and mental illness, and she's choosing a different path. Well, I'm sure my liver is happy, and honestly, it's brought me closer to people I drifted away from while I was in active alcoholism, said Boone of Cooter, Missouri. It's made me feel a lot more grounded, and honestly, it's brought me closer to God, and that's the biggest benefit of it all for me. Harp said young adults are proving to be more intentional about their alcohol consumption compared with older generations. I think Dry January allows everyone to just have a glimpse of what intentionally and awareness regarding their drinking can look like. There are a few explanations as to why young adults are drinking less. One reason is Gen Zers are more conscious of taking care of their physical and mental health. Dr. Joseph Volpicelli, founder of the Volpicelli Addiction Treatment Center in Pennsylvania, said. A 2024 study by strategy and management consultant McKinsey & Company found that 56% of Gen Zers consider fitness a very high priority compared with 40% of other adults in the United States. Perhaps the main reason Boone stopped drinking was she began to prioritize her mental health, a concern shared among much of Gen Z. According to a 2018 study by the American Psychological Association, 37% of Gen Zers are likely to receive mental health support, like therapy, compared with 35% of millennials, 26% of Gen Xers, and 22% of baby boomers. For young adults who may be looking to prioritize their health in the new year, Dry January in particular provides a 30-day reset in which folks may sleep better, lose a few pounds, and feel less anxious, Volpicelli said. Social media's looming presence also had an impact on Gen Z's attitudes about drinking. Volpicelli, who has a 17-year-old granddaughter, said social experiences are different from when he was in high school. As a teenager, the party revolved around a beer keg, he said. But this is not always the case anymore. Volpicelli, who was 72, said his granddaughter and other young people he sees at the treatment center spend more time together virtually, meaning alcohol isn't the center of the gathering. Research backs this. In 1991, 64% of high school seniors said they had been drunk at least once in their life, but by 2024, only 33% of high school seniors reported the same. And the dip? Well, it came around 2012, Rabo research found when smartphones became an integral part of the teenage experience. Another case for drinking less: when young adults are together, the stigma around sobriety seems to have shifted, Cleveland Clinic's Harp said. For a long time, if someone wasn't drinking, you would at least maybe have a feeling of, "Are people questioning why I'm not drinking?" Harp said. But with cigarettes, no one is ever going to ask, or very rarely, why aren't they smoking? We all kind of appreciate that there are health consequences of smoking. I think there's almost a trend of viewing alcohol the same way. It's kind of like, oh yeah, alcohol use may not be the healthiest thing, so it kind of makes sense they are abstaining. Guinevere Goodwin, 27, of Springfield, Missouri, worked for 3 years in the bar industry, and she agreed the mindset is shifting. I actually think it's something that is celebrated in the industry because there are so many former service workers who have had to fight like hell to be sober. Goodwin has stepped away from alcohol herself the past few months. She said she's enjoyed feeling more like herself, capable of connecting more clearly with friends when they do go out. Financial hardships are also playing a role in Gen Z's sobriety. According to a 2025 Bank of America study, 33% of Gen Zers are worried about their finances, and of those, 52% say economic instability is the root cause. In an effort to stabilize, about 64% of those surveyed said they focus on reducing their expenses, including dining out. 10 years ago, households led by an adult over 30 spent 1% of their income on alcohol. Today, it's closer to 0.7%. Goodwin said the financial burden of drinking regularly was a struggle for her. Between a few bottles of wine a week and eating out, she spent about $200 a month on alcohol. Another reason? Gen Zers are turning away from booze. They are exploring another type of high. As marijuana is legalized medically and recreationally throughout more of the country, it has become a leading cause of Gen Z's alcohol sobriety. Boone said marijuana has helped her ease her transition. In 2022, 69% of adults aged 18 to 24 said they preferred marijuana to alcohol, according to a survey by cannabis industry data hub, New Frontier Data. As of December 2025, 40 states had legalized medical marijuana and more than 20 states had legalized recreational use. Though Gen Z may be drinking less, Harp from the Cleveland Clinic said binge drinking, or consuming a large amount of alcohol over a short period of time, remains a widespread problem. For the average adult, binge drinking is considered 4 to 5 drinks within 2 hours, according to the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. A national survey on drug use and health survey in 2024 found that 22% of adults 18 and older in the United States reported binge drinking in the past month. So, are you sober curious? Dry January can be a healthy way to assess alcohol consumption. Learn more about the challenge and tips to be successful. I like to look at Dry January not as a morality play, but as a 30-day experiment to see how you feel. The goal isn't perfection, it's to get information, Volpicelli said. If you find that you have a hard time controlling your drinking during Dry January, it's important to reach out and get help. Well, I know from my perspective, I enjoy the occasional Manhattan, and the cost of Manhattan at a local restaurant is really getting ridiculous, so I have my Manhattan at home. You are listening to reading of today's issue of USA Today, the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 10 minutes after the hour. And let's continue with the health theme. RFK Jr.'s new food pyramid turns over the dietary tables. The Department of Agriculture has released a new set of dietary guidelines, and it includes a food pyramid that looks very different from the one you probably remember. Championing protein and healthy fats while minimizing grains, the new recommendations announced January 7th are a departure from past government guidance. In fact, the accompanying food pyramid visual is a near complete inverse of what it once was, both visually and in terms of content. In a White House news briefing, Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt said the announcement aligned with President Trump and Health Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr.'s promises to make America healthy again. As Secretary of Health and Human Services, my message is clear. Eat real food, Kennedy said. He called the change the most significant reset of federal nutrition policy in history. So, are you used to seeing the pyramid of the early aughts? It may take you a moment to wrap your head around just how much has changed. Here are some of the standout differences between the old and new food pyramids. The nation stopped using the pyramid model for dietary suggestions in 2011 when it moved to a visual that more closely resembled a dinner plate. The RFK Jr.-led HHS has returned to the familiar relic of the 90s, effectively turning it on its head. The upside-down triangle now features food groups that should be eaten in abundance at the top and those that should constitute less of your diet at the bottom. The visual isn't the only thing that was flipped. Grains, once the foundation of the suggested diet, are now the smallest group and relegated to the bottom. Protein, dairy, healthy fats, fruits and vegetables are the largest categories competing for the top. Protein itself wasn't a category on the popular diet visual until 2011, at which time it was still suggested in smaller portions. The latest guidelines not only focus on protein as a category, but the suggested intake has increased to 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight per day, up from the previous long-standing minimum of 0.8 kilograms. The attitude toward fats also made a near 180-degree turn. Previous nutrition guideline iterations suggested minimizing or avoiding full-fat dairy and all types of fat, including healthy and saturated. Now, 3 servings of full-fat dairy are recommended a day, and RFK Jr. declared that the USDA is ending the war on saturated fats. The guidelines now encourage the consumption of healthy fats, including saturated, placing it at the top of the pyramid in the same category as protein and dairy. It still caps saturated fat at 10% of your daily calories. However, it suggests these healthy fats come from naturally occurring whole food sources such as avocado. The HHS is declaring a war on added sugar, placing a newfound focus on avoiding it or capping consumption at 10 milligrams per meal. Recommendations around alcohol consumption also were notably changed. Instead of placing a numerical limit on the number of drinks a day considered acceptable, which had been up to 1 for women and 2 for men, it says simply to minimize consumption, stressing the no amount of alcohol is safe messaging less. The food pyramid as we knew it was first adopted in 1992 when the USDA released a 4-level image. Food groups at the bottom of the pyramid were meant to reflect a larger portion of the recommended diet, while those at the top were supposed to be incorporated more sparingly. The original iteration, from bottom up, featured 6 to 11 servings of grains and starches, including bread, cereal, rice, and pasta, 3 to 5 servings of vegetables, and 2 to 4 servings of fruit, 2 to 3 servings of dairy and meat, poultry, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts, and a sparing amount of fats, oils, and sweets. The original pyramid was revised in 2005 to the My Period model, which was still shaped like a triangle, but featured colored strips stretching from the top to the bottom to represent each food group as opposed to ascending levels. This iteration was based on a typical 2,000 calorie a day diet and recommended from bottom to top 6 ounces of grains, 2.5 cups of vegetables, 2 cups of fruits, 3 cups of milk or dairy, 5.5 ounces of meat, fish, beans, eggs, and nuts a day, and a limited intake of fats and oils. In 2011, the United States transitioned to the My Plate model, which switched up the visualization style. Gone was the pyramid. Instead, an image of a dinner plate with color-coded slices represented how much of each food group should be in each people's meal. It focused more heavily on a person's individual needs, but generally preserved the largest portions for vegetables and grains, and smaller slices for protein, fruits, and dairy. Well, how about that? So, adjust yourself accordingly. And again, at the top, we have protein, dairy, and healthy fats, followed by vegetables and fruits, and lastly, whole grains at the bottom of the inverted pyramid. You are listening to reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 17 minutes after the hour. Trump targets cost of housing. Aims for ban on large investors buying homes. Dateline, Washington. President Trump said he is moving to ban large-scale institutional investors from buying single-family homes in a push to lower housing costs for Americans. Trump discussed his plans in a post January 7th on Truth Social, saying he plans to take immediate steps on the issue and will ask Congress to codify the measure. Trump said the American dream of home ownership is increasingly out of reach for far too many people, especially younger Americans. It is for that reason, and much more, that I am immediately taking steps to ban large institutional investors from buying more single-family homes, and I will be calling on Congress to codify it, Trump said. People live in homes, not corporations. Trump said he plans to discuss the topic further at the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos, Switzerland, January 19th to the 23rd. The ban would be a blow to private equity landlords such as Blackstone, which bought up thousands of single-family homes since the financial crisis of 2008 led to a wave of home foreclosures. The trend has drawn criticism from housing advocacy groups and lawmakers, including Democrats, who say institutional landlords have stoked rent inflation. Democrats accuse Trump of suddenly backing a policy that Republicans have opposed in the past. Senate Democrats tried to do this last year. Republicans blocked it. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said in a statement. Trump hinted at the housing announcement in a primetime address to the nation December 17th, saying that in 2026, he would announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. Housing prices in 2025 rose by almost 2% from October 2024 to October 25, according to the U.S. Federal Housing Finance Agency's most recent monthly report in December. The median home price nationally rose to $433,000 in November 25, according to the real estate company Redfin. The United States faces a severe housing shortage and a stagnant housing market. Pending sales of homes dropped nearly 6% in December from the previous year. Trump has regularly criticized Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell over interest rates, arguing the rates should be dramatically reduced to jumpstart the housing market. The Federal Reserve on December 10th announced a quarter-point rate cut to its benchmark federal funds rate, its third in a row, though not as steep a cut as Trump had pushed, aimed at lowering borrowing costs for consumers. Powell offered a gloomy outlook on the housing market despite the rate cut. The housing market faces some really significant challenges, and I don't know that a 25 basis point decline in the federal funds rate is going to make much of a difference for people, Powell said. Trump withdraws U.S. from some treaties. The United States will withdraw from more than 5 dozen international collaborations, including treaties and organizations with the United Nations on climate change and the oceans, President Trump announced in a memo. Among the organizations the United States will withdraw from are the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The list also includes agreements and groups on renewable energy, oceans, piracy, counterterrorism, and empowerment of women. The 66 groups, treaties, and conventions, including 31 associated with the United Nations, are contrary to the interest of the United States, the memo's title stated January 7th. The withdrawals follow up on a review by Secretary of State Marco Rubio at Trump's request of all international organizations, conventions, and treaties to which the U.S. belongs or is a party to. The White House stated, "The withdrawals will end American taxpayer funding and involvement in entities that advance globalist agendas over U.S. priorities, or that address important issues inefficiently or ineffectively, such that U.S. taxpayer dollars are best allocated in other ways to support the relevant missions," Reuters reported. The Framework Convention on Climate Change was ratified by the U.S. Senate and signed by President George H.W. Bush in October 1992. The United States was the first industrialized nation to sign the convention. At the time, Bush called it the first step in crucial long-term international efforts to address climate change. The convention committed countries to inventories of all sources and sinks of greenhouse gases, such as carbon dioxide, and to establish national climate change programs. Now, the United States will be the only nation in the world that is no longer a party to the framework, according to the Union of Concerned Scientists. Though the country had already submitted a letter of intent to leave the Paris Climate Agreement for the second time, the United States has never withdrawn from the convention before, according to the scientists. The action to withdraw from the framework and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, or IPCC, follows actions taken by the Trump administration in 2025 to downplay climate change, such as an edict that federal employees were not to be involved with the IPCC's next report. As reports on 2025's global temperatures are released in the days ahead, major organizations and climate scientists expect it to be either the second or third warmest year on record globally. Several organizations quickly criticized the withdrawals from the international collaborations on climate change and the oceans, saying it will harm U.S. residents and American companies. Pulling out of the Framework Convention on Climate is a strategic blunder that gives away American advantage for nothing in return, said David Wodofsky, director of WRIUS, the World Resource Institute in the United States. Walking away doesn't just put America on the sidelines, it takes the U.S. out of the arena entirely. Wodofsky said the action will cost American communities and businesses economic ground as other countries take advantage of the booming clean energy economy. The withdrawal from the Global Climate Treaty is a new low from the administration, said Rachel Cletus, Policy Director and Lead Economist for the Union of Concerned Scientists Climate and Energy Program. It's another sign that this authoritarian, anti-science administration is determined to sacrifice people's well-being and destabilize global cooperation. According to Cletus, the withdrawal will serve to further isolate the United States and diminish its standing in the world, following a spate of deplorable actions that have already sent our nation's credibility plummeting. It will jeopardize ties with historical allies and make the world more unsafe, she said. Since Trump inauguration nearly a year ago, he has worked to slash funding for the United Nations and cease collaborations with its Human Rights Council and its cultural agency, UNESCO. Teachers Union sues Texas over Kirk posts. A Texas teachers union has sued the state over what it said was a trampling of educators' free speech rights when hundreds came under investigation for their comments after the killing of Charlie Kirk. The Texas branch of the American Federation of Teachers filed the federal lawsuit against the Texas Education Agency and its commissioner, Mike Morath, on January 6th, the union said. The suit claims investigations into at least 350 teachers after Kirk's death were unlawful, and that a letter issued by Morath to superintendents around the state targeting reprehensible and inappropriate content on social media prompted punishment and retaliation against teachers. Kirk was fatally shot September 10th while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. After Kirk's death, a wave of backlash came in response to online posts condemning his views or otherwise criticizing him. Right-leaning public figures and prominent social media accounts called for firings of people whose posts they deemed inappropriate. Morath's letter on September 12th directed superintendents to report inappropriate conduct being shared to the Texas Education Agency's Educator Investigation Division, the Texas AFT said in its suit, which was reviewed by USA Today. The union said teachers were investigated not for speech made in classrooms, but for posts made on their personal, often private, social media pages. In the months since, the consequences for our members have run the gamut from written reprimands and administrative leave to doxing and termination from their jobs, said AFT Vice President Zeph Capo. Texas Education Agency spokesperson Jake Kuberski said the agency does not comment on pending litigation. The lawsuit filed by the Texas AFT says the teachers in public schools have a constitutionally protected right to free speech and that their speech in their personal capacity, such as on social media, is protected as well. The suit alleges that teachers' rights were violated when they were investigated or faced disciplinary action for their post about Kirk. It also alleges that the policy to report teachers for inappropriate content was unfairly vague. These teachers were disciplined solely for their speech, without any regard to whether the post disrupted school operations in any way, the lawsuit reads. Teachers, whose cases are mentioned in the lawsuit, were kept anonymous. Many teachers are fearful to express opinions, effectively silencing their speech. One of the teachers, who made a post described in the lawsuit as one that simply raised questions about the circumstances of Mr. Kirk's death and did not promote violence in any way, was shared by a lawmaker who used it as part of an election campaign and called for the teacher's dismissal. The high school English teacher, who has taught for 27 years, was placed on administrative leave and later fired. She settled a wrongful termination claim with the district, the suit said. Another teacher of 16 years and a military veteran who previously won Teacher of the Year in his school district and made posts criticizing Kirk for his views on Black Americans, is under an ongoing investigation by the state agency, the lawsuit said. Since Kirk's death in September, USA Today counted dozens of examples of people who lost their jobs, were suspended, or investigated over posts or comments made about the conservative podcaster, including educators, doctors, lawyers, and first responders. They include a dean at Middle Tennessee State, Laura Sash Lightsey, who was fired for a social media post saying she had zero sympathy for Kirk, a Marine who called Kirk a racist man who was popped, and Jimmy Kimmel, whose ABC show was temporarily suspended after he made comments about Kirk. You are listening to reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 30 minutes after the hour, and we slide over to the opinion section for Friday, January 9th. And we have an opinion piece, which also deals with teachers in a different way, written by Danielle Harriet. Miss Harriet is a graduate of Rockford Career College in Rockford, Illinois, and currently is the Vice President of Community Outreach and Alumni Affairs for the college. Miss Harriet's piece comes under the title of A Mother at 16, My Chances Were Slim. Education Saved Me. Do you believe in miracles? At the start of this new year, looking back at my journey in life, I know I do. Here's why. I was only 16, a junior in high school, when I had my first child, a son. I was happy to be a mother, even if a single one, but the responsibility came much too soon and set me off in the wrong direction. At the time, I had no idea that motherhood as a teenager would turn out to be only the first of many struggles I would have to confront as an adult. Yet today, 30 years later, I'm what I might least have expected to become, an educator at a local college. If I have learned anything, it's that education is always pivotal, but also that our destiny occasionally has to take detours. Say what you want, but I call that a miracle. Luckily, as a young mother, I knew that to earn enough money to support my family, I needed to act quickly. I decided the key to the life I wanted was college. But which college? A traditional university would cost more than I could afford and take more time, typically 4 years than I could spare. Besides, would such a school train me for the kind of job that leads to a career? I was already a certified nursing assistant, but now set my sights on becoming a paralegal. So I chose to enroll in a vocational college. Except I ran into a disturbing personal problem while attending classes. I faced brutal domestic abuse that led to a personal and legal ordeal stretching out over 6 years. As the issue escalated, I lost my job. I felt at risk going out in public before some of the legal proceedings were finished. I missed classes and moved into a women's shelter so I could be safe. I considered dropping out of school altogether. It was then that 2 guardian angels tossed me a lifeline. A husband and wife couple, teachers at my college in Rockford, Illinois, called to ask why I was missing class and expressed concern. Jeffrey Swanberg was my psychology teacher, and Christine Swanberg my speech and English teacher. The Swanbergs offered me a job in an environment that represented sanctuary from danger. I would help care for Mrs. Swanberg's aunt and uncle, both in their 80s, at their home. My young son could stay with me during the day. I could earn an income without having to pay for childcare and could go back to school. Some might call this serendipity. To me, it was a miracle. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines miracle as an extraordinary event manifesting divine intervention in human affairs, and as an extremely outstanding or unusual event, thing, or accomplishment. Well, either one works for me. I went on to secure an associate's degree as a paralegal and take a job with a law firm. Then I earned a bachelor's degree in business management and started applying for law school. I finally learned to look people in the eye. My outlook was promising until yet another roadblock sidetracked my life and career. Complications from my pregnancy with a second child almost killed me. Worse, my daughter was born with severe cerebral palsy. All at once, I was thrust into a once-in-a-lifetime challenge and forced to meet the moment. I had to learn how to care for a child with special needs, taking my daughter to all of her many therapies. In the process, I stopped pursuing law school. I felt defeated, but for only so long. My college invited me to do something I never in a million years imagined myself doing. Teach. The lead program teacher for a paralegal class was out on medical leave. Would I step in to take over? Yes, I said, and the result was entirely unexpected. I discovered that in front of a classroom was where I was meant to be. How so? The students before my eyes were more or less just like me. They, too, were from blue-collar backgrounds, running into obstacles, seeking hope and guidance, and above all, trying to turn a corner. My progress soon accelerated. In only a matter of months, I went from being a student to an adjunct teacher. Soon, I was the full-time director of the paralegal program and ultimately dean of students. Nobody succeeds alone. There to congratulate me at every step was my mentor, Mr. Swanberg. He dubbed me the go-to gal on campus. And that's why I believe in miracles. The word miracle, by the way, originated from the Latin miraculum, meaning object of wonder. Just as the Swanbergs once believed in me, supported me, and yes, even saved me, I now get the opportunity to believe in, support, and try to save my own students. I once sat where they sat. My past is connected to their futures. 20 years ago, I was you, I think to myself. Maybe 20 years from now, you could be me. If I have anything to say about it, they'll understand that whatever happens in your life, nobody can ever take your education away from you. And that is a miracle too. You are listening to reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 37 minutes after the hour, and we move over to the money section. And the USA Today money section. I don't know why they still call it money. It's travel and tourism. So if they call it money, we'll just go with it and see what they have to offer today. First, we'll kick off with a piece, Everywhere Travelable, for travel icon Brown. Places to Love presenter offers advice that you can use. Samantha Brown has been helping her audiences see the world for over 2 decades. As a travel presenter with more than 20 years of experience on screen, Brown confirmed there's no wrong way to travel. Nevertheless, she does have some tips on how to do it respectfully. Every place is travelable to me, Brown told USA Today. I don't feel a huge difference from when I'm going to, say, Bologna, Italy, to Tampa, Florida. I really don't. I still love enjoying the people, the food, their experiences, their attractions, their museums that I don't get access to on a daily basis. Brown's current project, Places to Love, airs on PBS stations around the country. Its 9th season will premiere today. Before the premiere, Brown sat down with USA Today to talk about what to expect from the new season and how travelers can make the most out of getaways on any budget. And the first question. I know you have the new season of your show, Places to Love, coming out. What are you most excited about from this series? She replies, we completed Route 66 in the last 3 episodes. We started in season 7 with the state of Illinois, and we just thought, what if we did the whole thing? It was a 3-season approach, and this is the last. We ended with New Mexico, Arizona, and California, and completing the entire route, which is something like 2,400 miles, it really is an accomplishment I never thought I needed. As a traveler this late in my career, it was never on my radar, and it just knocked my socks off. What's your favorite hidden gem along the route? She replies, in Seligman, Arizona, that is basically the start of all of Route 66, there lives a man named Angel Delgadillo, and he owns a barber shop. When Route 66 was decommissioned, he understood the challenges of every single small town in the United States that used to be along Route 66 and what would happen that the highways would bypass. He was instrumental in fighting the government of Arizona and then the United States to form the very first Route 66 Club. He is still alive. He's 95 years old. He owns a gift shop with his wife, and he is just a joy. He is an absolute treasure of the United States, and he is there to tell the story. Has Route 66 made you a road trip person? Or were you already one? I was already a road trip person. I still remember being in my parents' station wagon. It was the 70s, and we had that third seat in the back, so the station wagon that faced out. So it was a different time. I loved road trips. I've taken quite a few with my own kids. We've done all of the coast of California. We've done Florida. We've gone up to New England. I think that's where we all kind of get our start. That's our travel origin story. It's rarely, oh, my first flight. It was the road trip that really solidified travel for a lot of people. When you're on your personal travels, what do you like to splurge on? I do like to splurge on the hotel. And that doesn't mean I stay in five-star hotels. It's just that, what is the location? Am I in a really great spot? Do they have air conditioning, especially if I'm in Europe? And oh, a good breakfast. I like a hotel that has a great breakfast, whether I'm paying for it separately or it has a great breakfast buffet. Those things just sort of set me up for success. When you fly, window or aisle? Aisle, absolutely, she says. I don't like feeling like I'm stuck between two people. And yes, I fly mainly economy. I think people are surprised to hear that. I don't fly first class as much as I would like to. And what are your travel must-haves? Aside from your basic extra battery, great charging cord, I always try to, every year, upgrade those electronics to be the fastest. Oddities I travel with? In the United States, not Europe, I travel with a teacup, a porcelain teacup, and a collapsible tea kettle, and my Harney & Sons Supreme Breakfast Tea. It's not exactly efficient in how I pack, but I enjoy it. What are your travel hot takes? I do not enjoy lounges like everybody does, and I have access to most of them, but I feel like now I'm just stuck, and I'm going to be stuck on a plane, so I don't want to be stuck sitting in a lounge. I like to walk in the terminal, especially before international flights. I don't need to sit more. So, do you have other tips for fellow travelers? One thing that people might be surprised about, I don't find it annoying when people recline. I do feel like the seat reclines, so that should be an expectation. Not everyone understands that the airlines have totally squeezed us into these tight spaces, and people do need to make themselves comfortable. Any flight under 3 hours, I don't recline. But anything over, well, yeah, you've got to get a little more comfortable. Also, I don't like bin hogs. When people come in and they put their carry and their backpack, or I'm like, no, 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 you get one bag. Someone else needs that space. You put it underneath the seat in front of you. What advice do you have for less frequent travelers to make the most of their vacations? The idea that travel has to be bucket list big to count, these smaller destinations that are closer to you are going to give you that exact same benefit. And I do mean that. It's almost contradictory. If you can go far, do it. If you can't, well, stay a little closer. You could stay within your own state. Do road trips, one tank of gas trips. It all counts. It really does. And do you have any advice for people who get anxious about travel? Well, yes, I'm still anxious when I travel. I get nervous about my flight. I get nervous that there's going to be either traffic or problems at the airport, and then, even when I land, I get really nervous. It's somewhere new. If you think that we are all super confident, That's what you've got to do to travel? Not at all. It's important to be kind and just take it slowly. If there are nerves, start slowly. Start with day trips. Work up to weekends. And it really does change your life. No question about it. You are listening to a reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 45 minutes after the hour, and we continue with the USA Today Money, Travel, Tourism section. Destinations 2026. 5 places to visit that pass our tests. And this is written by USA Today travel editors Josh Rivera, Eve Chen, Nathan Diller, Zach Wichter, and Kathleen Wong. If there's one thing that the USA Today travel team never gets tired of, it's chasing moments that remind us why travel matters. Over the past year, our team crossed the globe by plane, ship, and the occasional winding back road, uncovering places that surprised, inspired, and stayed with us long after we unpacked. From laid-back coastal hideaways to buzzing cities, these trips shaped how we're thinking about travel in 2026. They are the kinds of destinations that deliver more than a great photo. They offer standout food, rich culture, and experiences that feel meaningful, whether you're traveling for rest, adventure, or a reset. This isn't a list built on hype or algorithms. It's drawn from first-hand reporting, conversations with locals, and places that genuinely moved our team. So, if you are starting to plan where to go next year, here are 5 destinations we believe are poised to shine in 2026 and well worth adding to your travel wish list. First, spend laid-back beach days in these coastal towns. San Diego is a tried and true tourist destination, but consider heading north next time you visit. In 2025, I explored the North Country coastal region, where I have family, which offers a quiet, quaint counterpart to the more metropolitan parts of the city. The area is home to many beachside communities with their own scenery, activities, and personalities. Travelers can peruse boutiques and art galleries on Solana Beach's Cedros Avenue, camp at San Elijo State Beach in Encinitas, and hike at Torrey Pines State National Reserve between Del Mar and La Jolla. There are plenty of local coffee shops and eateries to visit along the way. And don't skip breakfast at Atelier Mania. Visitors can enjoy a relaxed pace while still having such easy access to renowned attractions such as Balboa Park and the San Diego Zoo. During my stay, I got the best of both surfer town and city living. And this is from Nathan Diller. And now from Kathleen Wong. Skip Tokyo crowds and slow travel through Japan's hidden gem. I know I'm not the only one who feels as if everyone they know is going to Japan. The island nation has recently skyrocketed in popularity among travelers eager to indulge in its delicious food, seemingly endless shopping, and rich cultural heritage, along with taking advantage of the beneficial exchange rate. I jumped at the chance to visit this past November and ended up surprised at where in Japan truly enchanted me. It wasn't Tokyo or Osaka, but rather the countryside. I explored Gifu Prefecture, located in the heart of Japan, on a road trip style exploration akin to how the Japanese like to travel. Traveling at a slow pace through Gifu, where I immersed myself in regional cuisine and cultural traditions, was a breath of fresh air, literally, as the mountainous region is known for its stunning fall foliage. I got to know Japan on a completely different level than when I was in its cities, and on the fact that Japan's hotspots such as Kyoto and Mount Fuji are struggling with the impacts of over-tourism, and there's no reason to not get off the beaten path. And now from Eve Chen. This city knows its place. Charleston, South Carolina is the portrait of coastal southern charm, with pretty pastel buildings and cobblestone streets dating back centuries, lively restaurants overflowing with chatter and delicious low country cuisine, and nearby sand dune dotted beaches where sea turtles nest seasonally. But there's also an ugly side to Charleston's history, tied to the slavery that enriched the port city. It doesn't shy away from that either. Charleston remembers its past in such places as the International African American Museum, Fort Sumter and Fort Moultrie National Historical Park, and the various former plantations which offered tours. I love how the city embraces its whole identity and readily shares it with visitors, like my family. My eldest daughter would have liked more time shopping along King Street, and my youngest daughter could have spent a whole day by the beach. But no one complained about the educational opportunities at every turn, especially not my history-loving husband and son. We are all ready to go back. And this from Josh Rivera. This country is easy to visit, difficult to forget. I had it in my mind that even though I had never visited Portugal, it would be similar enough to other European destinations. At a glance, that could be true. After all, their history is inextricably tied to its neighbors, but Portugal had its own charm to contend with. It's a European trip that feels exciting without being exhausting. Cities like Lisbon and Porto are walkable. The city train system is easy and affordable, and even smaller towns feel welcoming and approachable. You can bounce between history, beaches, wine country, and cozy cafes without ever feeling rushed or overwhelmed, which is exactly why so many American travelers are falling for it right now. Portugal also delivers big on value. Coffee costs pocket change, and meals are delicious without being splurgy. What really makes Portugal shine is how balanced it feels, with scenic coastlines, postcard-worthy viewpoints such as Cabo da Roca and Nazaré, and easy day trips to such places as Sintra, Cascais, or the Douro Valley. It's clear why travelers say you can see and do a lot in a short period of time. And while all of that is important to consider, this was the trip that taught me traveling with strangers could be life-changing. For that, I will always be grateful to Portugal. And now from Zach Winter. Why West Virginia really is almost heaven. Over the course of 2025, I went to the New River Gorge region of West Virginia twice. First for a work trip that helped me get familiar with all the area had to offer, and then, just months later, I returned for a personal visit to take part in an LGBTQ rock climbing retreat. I am an outdoorsy person, and I love being able to experience nature in such a beautiful part of the country. West Virginia may not be top of mind for every traveler, but it should be. The state offers everything from whitewater rafting in the summer to ski slopes in the winter and hiking and biking trails year-round. If you are looking to get outside and try your hand at a new activity or revisit one you already know you love, West Virginia should be high on your list. The state doesn't just offer beautiful scenery either. Its capital, Charleston, not to be confused with the one in South Carolina, which my colleague Eve wrote about, has a growing foodie scene and is an excellent gateway to the New River Gorge. I am already starting to think about my next trip back to go climbing again in 2026. You are listening to reading of articles and features from USA Today for Friday, January 9th, 2025, on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We will return for more readings after this short break. Your reader for this hour has been Chet Walczyk. I'm glad you were able to join me, as I always enjoy sitting with you. I hope you have a great weekend. Take care. Look forward to catching you the next time.
continue now with our reading of articles from today's issue of the USA Today. Your reader for this hour is Nancy. We've got the life section first. Nikki Glaser has a little work done on her jokes. From Brian Alexander. The world has changed since Nikki Glaser rocked the 2025 Golden Globes as its first solo female host. Topics that drew the biggest laughs in the Hollywood Hilton Hotel ballroom just aren't funny a year later as Glaser returns to host the 83rd Golden Globes on Sunday, January 11th. CBS and Paramount Plus, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. For example, there's no appetite for jokes calling out Hollywood's use of weight loss drugs, as Glaser did when praising Ozempic's biggest night in 2025. Ozempic's been done, Glaser tells USA Today, acknowledging she just nixed her one attempt. Some jokes, there's not a unique way to do them anymore. Here are other no-go areas and what you need to know about Glaser's second hosting outing. Glaser has cut plastic surgery jokes, almost body shaming. Plastic surgery jokes got laughs last year. This year, they're being tucked away for good. Going back to the 50s and 60s, you could make fun of people getting facelifts, Glaser, age 41, laments. Now, it's just so ubiquitous and normalized that it seems like I'm coming for everyone. It feels almost like body shaming. Glaser worked through the Christmas holidays with a team of comedy writers who knocked down her attempts at facelift jokes. But I'm gonna get a facelift. I'm on the right side of this. Is there a way to spin it that I ask for advice? Glaser says. It's too convoluted. I just can't make fun of face work anymore. She had to give up joking about Timothy Chalamet's mustache. Last year, Timothy Chalamet brought a thin mustache along with his girlfriend, Kylie Jenner, to the award show. Glaser scored when mocking the facial hair. You have the most gorgeous eyelashes on your upper lip. The mustache was for a movie role, for which Chalamet is now nominated, and the gift to comedy has been shaved away. He had that for Marty Supreme, I'm now realizing. So it's off now, says Glaser, who just scrapped the 2026 mustache joke. You have to make adjustments. Sometimes you write a joke assuming Adam Sandler will show up in basketball shorts. He doesn't, though. He dresses up for those things. Glaser and her team watch the red carpet cameras to see the stars arrive and write or cut jokes on the fly. Even when they see comedy gold, they still can show restraint. Jeremy Strong was dressed like a turtle who deals cocaine last year, Glaser says. But we didn't want to make fun of him. We pulled back because we were like, Jeremy Strong takes himself very seriously, as he should, and this isn't the night to mock him. Celebrity fear of a Glaser roasting is visible on star faces. The Globes is one of Hollywood's biggest nights, with legends in the audience just feet away from Glaser on the stage. When the host calls a name, the inevitable celeb reaction is palpable fear of being roasted before millions. Dax Shepard told me he was so terrified when I walked out. There was a sense in the room of, what's she gonna do, says Glaser, who earned acclaim for her star-scorching Netflix roast of Tom Brady in 2024. I was out for blood then, going for the jugular on every joke. Maybe a younger version of myself would have done that at the Globes. Glaser keeps the screwing moderate and even told Glenn Powell on the red carpet to just chill. She recalls saying, I have a joke about you. Please just don't brace for impact. It's complimentary. It's just saying about how I want to bang you. Trust me, I come in peace. Still, the Top Gun Maverick star stiffened on camera. Glazer tries not to see their pain by blurring her eyes. It's a survival mechanism I've come up with. The most savage jokes are locked in a vault. Glazer revealed the best jokes she caught on the Howard Stern show last year, a tradition she'll continue. But some axe jokes are so savage, cutting, and brutal that they'll never be revealed. Some truly only stay in the writer's room and never leave, Glazer says. We can't even have them in a live Google Doc. They are only said aloud and never spoken into a phone. The jokes will be sealed for about 4 decades. Then it'll be safe because everyone will be dead. It'll be in my biography someday. I'll keep all the notes. Glazer will go for the Globes three-peat. Tina Fey and Amy Poehler hosted the Globes for 3 great shows. Ricky Gervais burned through 3. Glazer's already eyeing a 2027 Globes return for her three-peat. To be in the pantheon of award show hosts, you've got to do at least 3, she says. I feel like I'm just getting started. It's a great gig. I love it. It's perfectly suited for my talents, or lack thereof. So here's one from music. Voice star Simmons' album was years in the making, from Ralphie Aversa. Neil Simmons, who completed on season 27 of NBC's The Voice, is nearly ready to release her debut album. It comes over 2 decades after she entered a recording studio to start it. So, what happened in between? The New Orleans native survived Hurricane Katrina, gave birth to a son, and got married. But Simmons never gave up on her dream. Grammy-winning award artist Trombone Shorty enlisted her to record background vocals on his 2017 album, Parking Lot Symphony. The studio sessions led to a tourist gig with Shorty, who was born Troy Andrews in New Orleans. Then producers from The Voice called. I'm going to be honest, I wasn't initially interested because I was like, I don't have time to do this, Simmons, age 41, recalls before a performance for USA Today. Acoustic, a series that provides a stage for notable and rising talent across the USA Today network. I'm touring already. I also have a home life. It was Simmons' husband who encouraged her to follow through with the audition. Technical issues with her initial audition tapes delayed Simmons' appearance on The Voice by a season. But in 2024, the singer was on stage, filming her blind audition round performance. Simmons sang Diana Ross's Love Hangover, and John Legend's chair turned around. Simmons laughs when recalling the experience. I didn't want to look at anyone, she says. I tour a lot. I'm on stages. But in that moment, it happened. It was like I'm getting these butterflies again. So I can't look at the coaches, because if I look, I'm going to anticipate them turning too much. While Simmons was a fan of coaches Michael Bublé and Kelsey Ballerini, she held out hope that either Adam Levine or Legend would turn in their chairs. Simmons enjoyed working with All of Me singer, but wishes her stay on the competition lasted longer. She lost to a fellow Team Legend singer, Renzo, during the knockout rounds. Renzo went on to place 3rd. As for Legend, Simmons said they keep up with each other on social media, but haven't spoken verbally since season 27 ended. Simmons reveals inspiration behind debut single Therapy. Touring with Trombone Shorty and competing on The Voice made Simmons feel like the timing was right for new music. She had prioritized motherhood over her career, but now her children are older. Simmons' son is 16, and her husband's child from a previous relationship, whom Simmons affectionately calls her bonus baby, is 12. Simmons linked up with T.L. Cross, Usher Montel Jordan. a relative of hers, to collaborate on her debut single, Therapy. She reveals that therapy has been a big part of her healing. I've had a lot of personal things that have taken place, losing loved ones and things like that earlier in their lives, Simmons says, hoping that the song inspires people to grow, heal, talk to a therapist, get a new scenery, find a new safe space. This album's going to speak to all forms of therapy as well, Simmons says of her debut LP, which she hopes to release in the early part of 2026. The music itself, love, heartbreak, loss, life, it's all going to be a part of this project. You're listening to a reading of today's issue of the USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 25 minutes after the hour. The 32nd Actor Awards. One Battle After Another leads with 7 nominations, from Brian Truitt and Aaron Jensen. The Thespians Have Spoken, One Battle After Another, scored a record 7 Actor Awards nominations, cementing its status as an Oscar frontrunner. Paul Thomas Anderson's acclaimed action drama, Led the Field, announced January 7th, while Sinners received 5 nods and Hamnet and Marty Supreme each nabbed 3. The 32nd Actor Awards, formerly known as the Screen Actors Guild Awards, stream live on Netflix March 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. One Battle, which won the top prize at last weekend's Critics' Choice Awards, is in the running for Best Ensemble, SAG's equivalent of the Oscars Best Picture, alongside Sinners, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Frankenstein. Timothy Chalamet, Marty Supreme, will go for his second straight Best Actor trophy, competing in the category against Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another, Michael B. Jordan from Sinners, Ethan Hawke, Blue Moon, and Jesse Plemons, Begonia. Critics' Choice winner Jessie Buckley, Hamnet, is up for Best Actress with Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson, Song Sung Blue, Emma Stone, Begonia, and Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another. The supporting actor contingent includes One Battle After Another, contains Benicio del Toro and Sean Penn, Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein, Paul Mescal, Hamnet, and Miles Canton, Sinners. Amy Madigan, who like Elordi won Critics' Choice honors, made the cut for Supporting Actress, a category which includes Wani Masuko, Sinners, Tariana Taylor, One Battle After Another, Odessa Azayan, Marty Supreme, and Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good. SAG's annual cemetery is an important bellwether for the upcoming Academy Awards on March 15th, since actors make up the largest voting body in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. There often is a carryover among acting categories. Last year, Oscars and SAG matched 4 out of 5 nominees in Best Actor, Best Actress, and Supporting Actor, as well as 3 out of 5 in Supporting Actresses. After the first movie overperformed with nominations last year, Wicked for Good could manage only 1 actor nod for Grande. Other notable snubs include Dwayne Johnson and the MMA drama The Smashing Machine, George Clooney and his Netflix film Jay Kelly, and Die My Love star Jennifer Lawrence. Among the TV categories, Apple's The Studio led with 5 nominations, including Best Comedy Ensemble, while the Netflix limited series of Adolescence and HBO drama The White Lotus each scored 4 total. In addition, Harrison Ford will receive the 61st SAG-AFTRA Life Achievement Award, After honorees Jane Fonda, Barbara Streisand, Sally Field, Helen Mirren, and Robert De Niro. So here are the 2025 Actor Award nominees in movie categories. Best Actor, Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme. Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another. Ethan Hawke, Blue Moon. Michael B. Jordan, Sinners. Jesse Plemons, Begonia. Best Actress, Jessica Buckley, Hamnet. Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Kate Hudson, Sung Blue. Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another. Emma Stone, Begonia. Best Supporting Actor, Miles Canton, Sinners. Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another. Jacob Elordi, Frankenstein. Paul Mescal, Hamnet. Sean Penn, One Battle After Another. Best Supporting Actress, Odessa A'zion, Marty Supreme. Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good. Amy Madigan, Weapons. Wunmi Mosaku, Sinners. Teyana Taylor, One Battle After Another. Best Stunt Ensemble, F1, Frankenstein, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. Golden Eve Gala. Mirren and Parker look back with gratitude. From Emma Sasek. Even celebrities get starstruck, and Academy Award winner Helen Mirren acknowledges she has had a few of those moments in her lifetime. The Oscar winner reflected on her career before the inaugural Golden Eve celebration on January 6th, where she received the 2026 Cecil B. DeMille Award for Achievement in Entertainment. It's very intimidating, for me anyway, because I'm very starstruck and I find myself acting opposite Bruce Willis or Will Smith or Harrison Ford or Al Pacino. And it's like, oh my God, can I handle this? Mirren, wearing a pink gown with a statement necklace, said on the red carpet. The generosity and the kindness is so massive in the feeling of being welcomed. Several of her female co-stars have also extended that same generosity, she added, but she's particularly grateful to the male ones. Mirren has received numerous accolades throughout her career, including an Academy Award for Best Actress for The Queen and 3 Golden Globes. Parker remains humble while accepting Carol Burnett Award. The event also honored Sex and the City star Sarah Jessica Parker with the Carol Burnett Award, given to a person for outstanding contributions to television on or off screen. Despite the big honor and her illustrious career, Parker, in a sparkly white gown and black blazer, remained humble about her achievements. I'm feeling good fortune that I was able to sort it all out and carve out a career for myself. It's what I most wanted from the time I was very little, Parker said. And I don't pretend I didn't work hard and was dedicated to the point of distraction, perhaps, but I think that I'm always aware that other people worked just as hard and didn't have the same good fortune. On a night like tonight, when I'm forced to reflect, I feel incredibly lucky that I got to work on the projects that I did and learn from legends and emerging actors and have extraordinary stories to tell and great directors. So I feel like I really got far more than I had ever hoped for, she continued. Parker's best known for her role as newspaper columnist and fashionista, Carrie Bradshaw, in Sex and the City, and its sequel series, And Just Like That, receiving 2 Emmy Awards and 4 Golden Globes for the former several of her co-stars, including Evan Handler, Kristen Davis, and Daniel Elginsberg, reunited on the red carpet. Speaking on their 28-year friendship, Davis says Parker has been very warm and very natural and very maternal, and caretaking from the moment they met. We spent like 18 hours a day together for many years. So I think that, like most friendships, over time there'd be little moments of more trust, more trust, more trust. And when you're doing something like our job, which is very intense, you really have to be kind of there for each other. Davis says, over time, just seeing who she is and how much she cares and how much she really supported all of us, it grew little by little. How to watch the Golden Eve special. The inaugural Golden Gala, held at the Beverly Hilton, aired on January 8th, CBS, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, streaming on Paramount Plus before the 83rd Annual Golden Globes on January 11th. CBS, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, and streaming live for Paramount Plus with Showtime subscribers. The 32nd Actor Awards. Dwayne Johnson, Sandler more missed the cuts from Patrick Ryan. The Oscar race is finally coming into focus. After courting voters at extravagant parties and film festivals over the last months, 2025, a slew of starry contenders were snubbed on January 7th for nominations at the 2026 Actor Awards, including Joel Edgerton from Train Dreams, Tessa Thompson, Hedda, Julie Roberts, After the Hunt, Sydney Sweeney, Christie, and Andrew Scott, Blue Moon. The Actor Awards, renamed from the Screen Actors Guild Awards, aren't reliable predictors of how the Oscars will shake out, given that actors make up the largest branch of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. But SAG also isn't afraid to take some big swings and have a little fun, with surprise nods for Pamela Anderson, The Last Showgirl, and Jonathan Bailey, Wicked, last year. Here's who else will be sitting out this season's Actor Awards, which will stream live on Netflix March 1st, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Jennifer Lawrence. The Oscar winner dutifully has hit every round table and red carpet touting Die My Love, a dark exploration of motherhood and toxic relationships. But the polarizing film may have been too off-putting for some SAG voters, who failed to recognize Lawrence's audacious, arresting work. Wicked for Good. The bubble has popped for the movie musical sequel, which overperformed at last year's SAG Awards, with nominations for Best Ensemble, Best Actress, Cynthia Erivo, Best Supporting Actress, Ariana Grande, and Best Supporting Actor, Jonathan Bailey. Grande earned the lone SAG nod this season for her complex and emotional turn as Glinda, the Good Witch of Oz. Amanda Seyfried. Seyfried gives two of the most memorable performances of the winter in pulpy thriller The Housemaid and a hypnotic movie musical, The Testament of Anne Lee, portraying the founder of the Shakers religious movement. Sadly, Anne Lee has had a rough time getting eyes on it, and Seyfried was egregiously missing from this season's SAG nominations. Jay Kelly. Conventional wisdom would tell us that Hollywood loves nothing more than a movie about itself. But Noah Baumbach's showbiz dramedy about an aggressive aging A-lister, George Clooney, forced to reckon with his paternal shortcomings, was blanked by SAG in Best Ensemble, Best Actor, and Best Supporting Actor, Adam Sandler. Jeremy Allen White. At the start of the season, the Bear actor was considered all but locked for his first Oscar nomination for biopic Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. But the brooding drama about the creation of Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska album was a box office disappointment, and White has lost major awards momentum after snubs from SAG and Critics' Choice. The Smashing Machine. The true life MMA drama has had mixed fortunes. Declared an Oscar frontrunner in its Venice Film Festival premiere in September, only to drop out of the conversation when the movie bombed at the box office. Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt appeared to bounce back with Golden Globe nominations, but have taken another hit with the SAG snubs. Sentimental value. SAG has famously overlooked countless actors for foreign language films, recently snubbing Sandra Hüller, Anatomy of a Fall, and Antonio Banderas, Pain and Glory, for performances that went on to be Oscar nominated. Still, it stings to see Renée Renve, Inga Ibsdottir Elias, and Ella Fanning left out of this year's nominations for their work in sentimental value. As was expected, supporting actor nominee Stellan Skarsgård for the gutting Norwegian drama. Wagner Moura. The Brazilian heartthrob has been a critic's favorite for The Secret Agent, garnering scores of critics' prizes since winning Best Actor at Cannes Film Festival. But much like the cast of Sentimental Value, Moura was always going to be a long shot for recognition from the Screen Actors Guild, despite receiving nominations from Golden Globes and Critics' Choice Awards. You're listening to a reading of today's issue of the USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 43 minutes after the hour. And now we're moving on to the sports section. NFL wildcard matchups. Rams 12-1 at Panthers 8-9. TV 4:20 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, January 10th. Fox spread BetMGM Rams by 10. Rams key to victory, stop the run. The Panthers beat the Rams 31-28 in Week 13 behind a dominant rushing attack and a methodical offense. Carolina rushed for 164 yards in that game and went 7-for-15 on third down, sustaining long drives and maintaining possession. The LA defense must stop the run and keep the Panthers out of third and manageable situations, so the Rams can get stops to prevent points from growing on the scoreboard. Panthers' keys to victory: keep the ball away from quarterback Matthew Stafford. LA has a quick strike offense that is capable of putting up points in a hurry. The Panthers must run the ball consistently and successfully, like they did in Week 12. Matchup to watch: Rams cornerback Emmanuel Forbes Jr. versus Panthers wide receiver Tataro McMillan. The Rams secondary is the biggest question mark of this team, and the unit will face a big test against McMillan, 43-yard touchdown reception, and wide receiver Jalen Coker, 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of them scoring touchdowns on fourth downs against the Rams in Week 13. From Cameron DeSilver, NFL Wires. Bills 12-5 at Jaguars 13-4. TV 1 p.m. Eastern, Sunday, January 11th. CVS spread, BetMGM, Bills by 1.5. Jaguars key to victory. Although quarterback Trevor Lawrence is playing at an elite level, this game falls on the shoulder of Jacksonville's defense. It ranked as the top run defense in the league and had 31 takeaways. Now it'll face the top-ranked rushing offense and a team that had 23 turnovers in a regular season. Bills' keys to victory: wear down Jacksonville's defensive front and get running back James Cook going early. If they can break down the run defense, they'll open up quarterback Josh Allen to work some of his magic. Matchup to watch: 1. Bills Cook versus Jaguars defensive line. Run defense is something the Jaguars are prideful about, and a good matchup for the top rusher in the league. Matchup to watch 2. Bills Allen versus Jaguars defensive end Josh Hines Allen. In a game played November 7th, 2021, before the Jags' Hines Allen added the hyphenated Hines to his name, the defensive end sacked the Bills' quarterback, as well as intercepting a pass and recovering a fumble from him in a Josh Allen versus Josh Allen game. This is from Justin Lewis, the Florida Times-Union. Chargers 11-6 at Patriots 14-3. TV 8 p.m. Eastern Sunday, January 11th, NBC Peacock. Spread Bet MGM Patriots by 3.5. Chargers keys to victory. Be the test with better quarterback play. Patriots quarterback Drake May will be making his play debut, while the Chargers' Justin Herbert is the postseason for the third time. But he has thrown for interceptions in the postseason and lost both of his playoff starts. Protection will be huge. 6 of Herbert's 7 games with a passer rating of at least 100 came when he was sacked 3 or fewer times. Patriots keys to victory. Be the more physical football team. Winning in the postseason is all about consistently winning the line of scrimmage. Can the Patriots keep May protected? Robert Spillane, one of the NFL's best run-stopping linebackers, will be vital for containing the run game. Matchup to watch: Chargers wide receiver Ladd McConkey versus Patriots cornerback Christian Gonzalez. McConkey is a go-to target, but it's hard to shake free from Gonzalez, who has allowed 1 touchdown pass against his coverage this season. The Chargers will need receivers to win one-on-ones against a good passing defense. This is from Zach Kruse, NFL Wire. Packers 9-7-1 at Bears 11-6. TV 8 p.m. Eastern Saturday, January 10th, Prime Video. Spread Bet MGM Bears by 1. Packers key to victory. Capitalize on red zone opportunities. The last time Green Bay faced the Bears, it went 0 for 5 in the red zone and allowed Chicago to stick around despite not scoring a touchdown until the final minute. Quarterback Jordan Love will have opportunities to attack the bend-don't-break defense, but the biggest test will come inside the 20-yard line. Bears keys to victory. Chicago has struggled to find consistency on offense through the first 3 quarters of games, including against Green Bay. But if it's close heading into the 4th quarter, the Bears are never really quite out of it. Quarterback Caleb Williams has been at its best in the 4th quarter. Matchup to watch: Packers wide receiver Christian Watson versus the Bears wide receiver Jalen Johnson. Chicago's secondary had its hands full against the Detroit Lions receivers in Week 18, and Johnson specifically is still not healthy from his groin injury that held him out for most of the season. Watson will have ample opportunity to exploit the secondary. From Alyssa Barberi and NFL Wires. 49ers 12-5 at Eagles 11-6. TV 4:30 p.m. Eastern Sunday, January 11th. Fox spread Bet MGM Eagles by 4.5. 49ers key to victory. A quick return to health for key players, star left tackle Trent Williams and wide receiver Ricky Purcell couldn't play in the regular season finale, but are expected to play in the regular season finale and available. Quarterback Brock Purdy and starting linebacker Dee Winters and Tatum Bethune suffered injuries during the Week 18 game. Purdy's expected to play. Bethune is not, and that's on top of star Nick Bosa and linebacker Fred Warner already out. Running back Christian McCaffrey and tight end George Kittle might have to carry the offense. Eagles' key to victory. The Eagles decided to rest their star player in Week 18, so quarterback Jalen Hurts, running back Saquon Barkley, wide receiver A.J. Brown, defensive tackle Jalen Carter, linebacker Zach Bond, and the top 3 cornerbacks should all be rested. The Eagles could get star right tackle Lane Johnson back after he missed 7 games with a foot sprain. Matchup to watch: 49ers running back McCaffrey versus Eagles linebacker Nakobe Dean. McCaffrey had more than 2,000 yards from scrimmage this season. If the Eagles can contain him, they should be able to keep the 49ers offense in check. From Martin Frank, Delaware News Journal. Texans 12-5 at Steelers 10-7. TV 8:15 p.m. Eastern, Monday, January 12th, ABC, ESPN. Spread, bet MGM, Texans by 3.5. Texans key to victory. Houston needs to turn the game into a defensive grind. The Texans have allowed the second fewest points per game, 17.4, as a result of their defensive prowess. If cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. can limit DK Metcalf as the veteran receiver returns from a 2-game suspension, that would go a long way towards suppressing Pittsburgh's overall offensive production. Steelers keys to victory. Pittsburgh's defense needs to pressure quarterback C.J. Stroud to have a chance. Stroud has a 65.5 passer rating when under pressure this season, compared to a mark of 105.7 when kept clean, per Pro Football Focus. Expect the Steelers to lean on star edge rushers T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith to generate heat. Matchup to watch: quarterback Aaron Rodgers versus Texans pass rush. The Texans are adept at generating pressure without blitzing. The 42-year-old Rodgers has an average time to throw of just 2.48 seconds, which is the 3rd fastest among quarterbacks to log at least 100 plays in 2025, per Summer Sports. From Jacob Kamniker, USA Today Sports. Cubs land coveted starting pitcher and crucial MLB trade, from Gabe Locks. The Chicago Cubs landed one of the top starting pitchers on the trade market, acquiring right-hander Edward Cabrera from the Miami Marlins, according to a person with knowledge of the deal. The person spoke to USA Today Sports on the condition of anonymity because the team hadn't yet announced the trade. The Marlins received top outfield prospect Owen Cassie, Class A top fielder Christian Hernandez, and 18-year-old infielder Edgardo de Leon in the return package for Cabrera, age 27, who struck out 150 batters in 137 innings for Miami last season. The Marlins, who posted a 56-33 record the final 4 months of the season, dealt from their starting pitching depth to land an outfielder who ranked among the top 65 prospects entering the 2025 season. The Cubs are sticking to a recent ethos of pursuing improvements on the trade market rather than free agent market. They qualified for the playoffs for the first time since 2020 after trading for slugger Kyle Tucker, an impending free agent. This time they landed Cabrera, who is under club control for 3 seasons and immediately becomes a key part of a Cubs rotation that saw the emergence of rookie Cade Horton in 2025. but also second half struggles from left-handers Shota Imanga and Matthew Boyd. Cabrera made a career-high 26 starts last season, posting a 3.53 ERA and 3.83 fielding independent pitching mark. His best work in such a large sample, Cabrera missed a handful of second-half starts due to elbow issues. He didn't pitch for 11 days around the All-Star break after an MRI revealed posterior right elbow discomfort and spent 3 weeks on the injured list in September with a right shoulder sprain. Cassie, 23, made a 12-game debut with the Cubs last season, going 5 for 26 and has a .870 career OPS in 5 minor league seasons. He was recently ranked the Cubs' number 2 prospect. Elia Malinin, the can't-miss quad god, from Christine Brennan. He arrives at the moment he has been waiting for, just as he imagined he would, with the greatest array of jumps any figure skater in history has ever possessed, with his parents, Olympians both, by his side as his coaches and confidants, and with irrepressible delight over the prospect of what could be about to happen. Has the sport of figure skating ever seen anything quite like American prodigy Elia Malinin? Here's the quick answer to that question. No. And has any 21-year-old wonderkind ever appeared to be more comfortable in his or her own skin than the young man with the perpetual sly grin, the prodigious quad god social media presence, the Huck Finn hair, and the lithe body built for the 4-revolution jump he flicks off every moment on the ice? Again, the answer's no. The pressure of the Olympics is enormous. The ice is slippery. Even the best skaters make mistakes. But given all those caveats, let's welcome the 2026 Winter Olympic year with a proclamation. If Malinin doesn't win 2 gold medals next month in Milan, one in the team event for the U.S., one in the men's competition, it will be a very big surprise. Some athletes don't like to hear people talk like that. Malinin possesses the confidence to not mind it at all. In fact, despite winning the past 3 U.S. men's national titles, with a 4th predicted this week, and the past 2 world championships, he does think about the unthinkable, that something might go wrong and he won't win the men's Olympic gold medal in Milan. Honestly, sometimes I have 3 thoughts a little bit, and I have a lot of the time that come from me not having the best practice or the best days, and I think that's really understandable, Malinin said during a recent call with reporters. Everyone expects you to be so perfect and really know what you're doing all the time. But sometimes you're not always perfect. You can have a day when nothing works out, and you kind of just have to go through that. But I always trust the fact that I can turn around the next day and really come up with a fresh new mindset to approach, for example, a practice where, let's say, a jump wasn't going well and it really put me down. The next day, I'll spend more time on it and really just make sure that I can have the most confidence going into, for example, the Olympics. This kind of openness and the fearlessness it reveals does have its limits. Asked recently in an exclusive interview for the new USA Today podcast, Milan Magic, if anything scares him, Malinin said, "I'm actually afraid of heights." Wait, what? The first skater in history to launch himself into the air for 7 quadruple jumps in a long program doesn't like heights? Very ironic, he said. Then he explained, it has nothing to do with his jumping. I would say heights in a tall building, adding with a laugh that he has no scientific explanation for it. Malinin was born into figure skating. His mother, Tatiana Malinin, is from the Soviet Union, Siberia specifically, and competed at 10 consecutive World Figure Skating Championships for Uzbekistan. She finished 8th at the 1996 Winter Olympics in Nagano, the competition in which Tara Lipinski won the gold medal and Michelle Kwan from the silver. Malinin finished 4th at the 1999 World Championships as well, and she also competed at the 2002 Salt Lake City Olympics, but withdrew after the short program with the flu. Malinin's father, Roman Skrutnev, represented Uzbekistan in the same two Olympics, 1998 and 2002, finishing both times. He and Melina were married in 2000 and became skating coaches in the U.S., moving to the Northern Virginia suburbs of Washington, D.C., where in December 2004, Ilya was born. He took the Russian masculine form of his mother's last name because his parents were concerned that Skortolov was too difficult to pronounce. As a young boy, Malinin ran around skating rinks with a soccer ball under his name. When I first started skating, it was just going to be a recreational hobby, he said on Milan Magic, the first episode of which drops on January 10th. My parents didn't want me to go into skating. They wanted me to see if I would find another passion, because they know, of course, the time, the effort, the dedication it was. They went through all of this, all of these troubles, sacrifices, and they were like, I don't think we want any more skaters in the family. But here we are, 2 skaters in the family now, and me coming up on my first Olympic Games. So I think it was kind of meant to be. One particularly poignant moment in his mother's life has stayed with him, he said on the podcast. A lot of times, my parents tell me that I should always be grateful for everything, because of course, knowing them, their story, they grew up in a very hard life. My mom's grandmother, she had to sell her wedding ring to get my mom her first pair of skates. And that just made my heart melt, because I'm looking at myself now and I'm like, I'm so spoiled. I should be extremely grateful for everything I have. But I'm so grateful for my parents because without them, I would not be where I am today. His father travels with him to competitions, while his mother usually stays home, coaching the couple's other skaters, including Ilya's younger sister. They know exactly everything that can happen, all the goods and bads about figure skating, Malinin said a few years ago. Outside of the rink, Malinin grew up like many American kids with a love of Legos and video games. He graduated from George Marshall High School in Fairfax County, Virginia, class of 2023, and takes classes at George Mason University. But these days, it's all about the skating at the Milan Olympics beckon. Malinin continues to tease. The quint, a 5-revolution quintuple jump, not for the Olympics, but perhaps afterward. And then there'll be more jumping and competing to come. He is talking about trying for at least 2 more Winter Olympics, 2030 in the French Alps and 2034 in Salt Lake City. The wear and tear on a skater's body, all from those jumps day after day on the unforgiving ice, can scuttle the most earnest of youthful plans. But as a new year begins, Malinin was allowed to dream and dream big. He will only be 25 in 2030 and 29 in 2034. I'm playing everything by ear and how I feel just in general, and the passion I have for skating, he said. So who knows, might be a fourth or fifth Olympics. I mean, we'll see how long I can keep going. But first things first, the U.S. Nationals are this week. He was to take the ice Thursday night for the men's short program. Then Milan, here he comes. U.S. Grand Prix. Snowboarders share emotional comebacks, from Chris Bamboka. On the first day of qualifying at the 2026 U.S. Grand Prix in Aspen, the top men's and women's snowboarders in the halfpipe competition from the U.S. shared something bigger than their jumps: coming back. First, in the women's trials, it was Maddie Shafrick, who was the lone American to qualify for the finals at Buttermilk Mountains on January 9th. Shafrick, age 31, was a coach for the halfpipe team at the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. A teenage star who felt the inevitable burnout early, she walked away from the competitive side of the sport for nearly a decade. Now she's on the doorstep of making the 2026 Milan Olympics roster. It's been a mixture of everything, Shafrick told USA Today Sports. Some of the highest highs and the most grateful I've ever felt, and then challenges that I'm just expecting, which I'm also truly grateful for. The past 18 months or so have shown her what she's capable of and taught her what self-belief truly is. When the chapter's over, she'll have a deeper reflection on it all, she said. But everything now requires her full presence. After dislocating her shoulder during her second run at the Copper Grand Prix in December, Shafrick hadn't been in a halfpipe until Monday. By the end of action 3 days later, she was slightly fatigued. Felt okay, was kind of up and down during practice, she said. That didn't slow when she threw down 75.25 on her second run. A trio of Japanese riders swept the first 3 spots of qualification. Shafrick rides with wired headphones in her ears and listens to music during the first few practice runs. If she has to wait, maybe she'll turn it back on, but when she's in the bowl, the music is off. Depending on how her body feels Friday, Shafrick could add difficulty and tricks to the run in an effort to make the podium. A day of rest on deck. Probably watch some Game of Thrones, she said. Jake Patz keeps the faith. After Jake Patz's second run, the contingent of Japanese male snowboarders and their coaches at the bottom of the hill went wild with celebration and mobbed him. The Japanese riders, namely the Himano brothers, are good friends of his, and Pates has spent a lot of time in their country. They wouldn't show that love to just anybody, though. Pates competed at the 2018 Pyeongchang Games, but spent most of the next few years away from competition. It was tough, I'm not going to lie, he said of his layoff. There were multiple reasons why he stepped away. Part of why it took him that long was that he didn't think coming back was possible. I was lucky enough to meet some people along my journey, my time off, he told USA Today Sports. That opened my eyes to the fact that it was a possibility. With a score of 83.25 after his first run, surely good enough for the finals, he left it all out there for the second. That's when he stunned everyone with an 88.25. This is incredible, dude. It could make me cry, honestly, thinking about it, Pate said. Because I was at rock bottom, like so depressed, lost my sponsors, no income, no job, but I had my family, and I had my good friends around me. He found heart and spirit and fought his way back. I missed it so much, he said. I'm so grateful to be here. He wouldn't change a single thing. The darkest moments make us who we are, he said. Who else advanced to Aspen Grand Prix finals? Chase Josie, 88.1, and Ryan Wachendorfer, 76.75, both also advanced from Pate's heat. Alessandro Barberi, 17, threw down an 85.5 on his first run to finish second in the first heat, giving the Americans 4 riders during Friday's men's half-pipe final. Between competing in the U.S. and the Olympic qualifying pressure, Barberi said, everyone wants to land a decent run to make it to the finals and keep the hope alive. Barberi saw his first run score and felt good about his standing after the first run. His board caught the slush on his second run and he fell. Landing your first run gives you a lot of confidence, he said. The stress is gone. You feel more in tune and ready to go big and send it. Obviously, sometimes the overconfidence can get you. That wasn't what happened, he said. Sometimes the nerves are good, Barberi said. At the slopestyle course, Avery Crum, 71.8, became the lone woman's free skier to advance to the 8-person finals and finished 4th on the day. The men's side fared well, with Mac Forehand, 90.5, Alex Hall, 89, and Connor Ralph, 87.5, finishing 2 and 4 in Heat 1. Colby Stevenson nearly didn't make the finals, but managed to squeak in with an 8th place 64.25 in Heat 2. And fellow American Henry Townsend joined him with a 7th place 67.5. You've been listening to a reading of the USA Today for January 12th. We read the USA Today's weekday at noon. For more information, call us at 716-821-5555. Your reader for this hour has been Nancy.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have episode number 7 of Mark Twain by Ron Chernow. Following that, at 3 o'clock, the New York Magazine. At 4 o'clock, a re-airing of today's Buffalo News. Stay with us. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Radio reading serves people who are blind or have a print disability throughout Western New York and Southern Ontario's Niagara Peninsula. From its broadcast studios at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga, just north of Clinton Street. Almost 40 years and more than 300,000 hours of radio readings to those unable to read printed matter on their own. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings of newspapers, magazines, and books. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call us at 716-821-5555. Are you facing challenges with vision loss and need help with your smartphone, sending emails, navigating the internet, and staying connected with your family? VIA, Visually Impaired Advancement, is offering free classes for seniors weekly at multiple locations with free assistance for your smartphone, email, and internet skills. There's a new session every week, and it rotates between the South Towns and the North Towns. It's at your local Erie County libraries and at 10 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. For more information, call Elhana Porter at 716-888-4632. Again, that's 716-888-4632. You're listening to your Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings 24 hours a day of newspapers, magazines, books, and other printed matter. People who are blind or have a print disability throughout Western New York and Southern Ontario's Niagara Peninsula are provided special reading radios. This year, the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service marks almost 40 years on the air. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading Service studios are at 1199 Harlem Road in Cheektowaga, The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service website is nfradioreading.org. For more information, call us at 716-821.
The Niagara Frontier Radio